Welcome back to Switch to Linux. So today what we're going to do is just have another quick first impression. Somebody asked me to have a look at PCLinuxOS the other day during a live stream, and so we're just going to go ahead and have a quick look over there. So PC Linux has been moving up in the distro watch a little bit. It's currently positioned at 14 for the last 6 months, and so what you can see looking at this is it is a independent based on Mandriva, I believe that's pronounced, and that is based on Red Hat. So we're going to be dealing with RPM package managers. We're going to be kind of in the Red Hat type, kind of feel like Fedora type platform. And we're just going to try and do a few basic tasks over here. And we're going to walk through. Now, the first thing I'm going to say, I've done just a little bit. I played with some updating. I like KDE. It's not my favorite desktop environment. Obviously, this computer's KDE. It works great for the things that I like to use it for, but in reality, as far as a work system, the reason I've chosen not to go with KDE on some of my systems is there's just a lot of things on it I just can't get working easily. And even this, I remember it took me about a week to get that computer set up right. It didn't want to communicate well with the Samba servers. I had to, mess with things in deep configuration files to get it to interact with my media libraries, and and even to this day, despite it has KDE Connect to interface with an Android, something about an update about, 2 months ago or so, and I can no longer really connect to the Android phone. I can take a image from the phone. Kitty wants to say hi. Hi everybody, use PC Linux, it rocks. I can connect to the, I can go into the Android phone, take a photograph, and then upload the picture with the with KDE Connect. But what I can't do is I can't actually come in here and click on the I can't click on the files on the file thing. It'll open it up. It'll say it's the Android device, and then it just can't access it. And I don't know if that has to do with an update on the KDE machine or if it has to do with an update on the Android phone. I'm not completely sure which. It very possibly is the phone, because those things that Galaxy just gets worse with every update. We talked about planned obsolescence last week. That thing is so planned obsolescence, I'm expecting a brick to be delivered with a forced update on the thing. Do not recommend Galaxies right now. I really stopped caring for Samsung a while back. After I'm done with my Galaxies, I might try a different Android phone if I even want to stick with Androids. But for some reason, I cannot communicate despite having KDE Connect. It might be that. So let me know if you're having difficulties with that or not. I know for me, I can't. I can't connect with it. So KDE is not the only version of this. You can get a Mate as well. I wanted to use the KDE for this first impression, and if there's enough requests for it, I might go back through and go ahead and do another version based on Mate. But what I wanted to do is run the KDE so that I could compare how this KDE runs to the other KDE that I use on a daily basis. And we're just going to go ahead and have a look at what that might look like. So looking at their website, the first thing is I felt like the site was a little bit disorganized. We land on the main homepage to a full blog. We have to come into the About here. And there's a lot of information in here, but one thing that's completely missing is any help documents, help guides, installation instructions, anything that's going to help out an early user. Especially for me, I really wanted to have a look at that because I wanted to have a look at the system, considering the fact that it's using a different package manager base than I'm used to. And I wasn't sure if that would cause any impact or any difference in how I do things, and so that's what I wanted to do. It turns out that they do have such a help document. It's just not linked anywhere. But if you go into the support forum, so go into the support page, go into the forum, and then somewhere in here, and I cannot even, excuse me, I can't even remember now. Okay, it's right here, PCLinuxOS Wiki. Now you come over here, and here is where you get your wiki that has your information. So this here is that help document that I really feel like this should be linked somewhere on the website, maybe near the download page. If it might be there, I missed it, and I was looking for it. I hunted everywhere to find something. Also, we had a full Monty ISO that was discontinued. This is talking about an LXDE. I didn't even know that you could get this in LXDE until I came here. I'm not sure if that goes anywhere or not. Okay, so apparently you can get this. But if we come over to the Get PC Linux OS, you can see we have KDE, Full Monty, and Mate. Of course, Full Monty goes to a page that says it's discontinued. And up here, here's your desktop. There's the KDE. And then this is where to get the KDE desktop. And then here's your Mate. And then, of course, the Full Monty goes to the broken link. So I'm wondering if they were supposed to have taken Full Monty off and replaced this with LXDE. Because apparently it exists, because over here, I don't see it. So it feels to me like the site is so out of date, I'm not sure I'd want to trust it. I'm thinking this is a Joomla site. That's kind of what it looks like. It just gives me a Joomla feel with the modularization in it. I'm not sure if that's exactly right or not. But I just kind of got the feeling it felt like the site was really out of date for me. So that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth being a web developer. Who knows? Maybe there's just room on the team to help develop that. If this were a distro I was using on a regular basis, I very well might offer help keeping things up to date. But anyway, we have inside the wiki, once you finally find it, they do have a lot of information. Get it, test it, install it. They have information about how to do the checkings, how to install everything, just some basics. And one of the neat things is a lot of their instructions, which was different from a lot of Linux distros. A lot of their instructions had a whole lot more to do, I saw, with the GUI rather than the terminal. In fact, I don't recall seeing really any instructions in the terminal. They generally referred you to the GUI. So that was a little bit different, which was actually kind of nice, especially if we're moving into a world where the Linux desktop is just as powerful in the GUI as it is in the terminal, and in many cases, not in all, of course. So it was interesting to see that. So with that, of course, you have the forum. So it does look like there is a very active forum. Let's see. See if I can go to the home on the forum. So you can see there's a lot of information, tons of topics, tons of posts. So I did not come in here and specifically try to look anything up, but I get the deep impression that you could probably find answers to any questions that you want on here. So I'm going to give that a big plus. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and have a look at the distro itself, if I can find it. There's my distro. All right, so here we have our distro running, and what we're going to do here is I didn't really care for this login screen. You had to click on the username, which just felt a little out of place initially. It's just a little different. Of course, you can get used to that. And the thing that was annoying me the most, let's see if it does it. So we're logging into KDE desktop. And this usually happens pretty quick. Having logged in, I already get a big old Dropbox logout. Now, I hate Dropbox. I hate this company with a passion. This company, hate it. I get this stupid Dropbox login every single time I log into the system. So I'm hoping if I remove Dropbox, which is pre-installed, that I can get rid of it. And so what it kind of, I mean, it feels to me like there are a lot of applications in here. You know that I like an operating system that feels complete, but for me, it feels like there's a lot of excess redundancy that I didn't care about. Let me just realized I did not turn on my my other light for better lighting. It's been an interesting day in my office. So I was like, I had to walk away. I had a moment the other day where I'm not even going to get into that. Never mind. Web design stuff. All right. So what we have here is we do have a lot of features already added here. So if you can come up here to more applications, you can see that we have a console. We have our system monitor. So we can see how we're doing. We're running on about 450 megabytes, which is good. So I did give this VirtualBox 4 cores and 8 gigs of RAM. So we are, of course, running on a VirtualBox. And you can see, though, that it is a pretty light system. Of course, with KDE, it's a light system, but it at times feels a little encumbering. One of the big advantages that I saw to this is that they actually default it to the folder view, meaning that this is the only KDE distro so far that I've reviewed that loads this up in that folder view so I can work off the desktop. Serious win for me. I don't have to figure that part out. Again, where I was talking about multiple different layers of applications, what we find is we find redundancy in several areas. For one, a lot of menu items are repeated multiple times. So I have a VirtualBox Manager here, and I have the same exact program over here. But there's a lot of programs in the menu that when I click it, I have to enter the password. And then it just tells me, hey, we're going to install stuff. I'm like, I don't want to do that quite yet. Of course, I'm guessing that installs VirtualBox, but I'm not completely sure. I did encounter one of those where I had no idea what it was, and I went through and I tried to click through everything in here so I know what everything is, at least basically, as I'm doing this walkthrough, and it ended up being some local language importer that requires a system startup. So I had no idea what was going on, and then the computer's like, hey, we need to restart now. Oh, what? What is this, Windows 10? So here under more applications, we can see what we have here. We have 2 terminals. I think a few Linux distros come with multiple terminals. But again, this is just one example of the redundancy. I'll show you some more as I find it. We do have a basic archive manager and MyLive GDK for making an ISO image, so that's a neat addition. Under your configuration, we have a lot of things in here that I found interesting. Like, why do we have HP software in here by default? I have no idea. I hate HP. I do not own anything HP. But we have those. Here's configure your printer, configure your computer. And that was another thing is there's the computer configuration for the platform, which was fine. And then there's also the system settings. So, of course, they're both down here. They are a little bit different, so they're not. This is not an exact basis for configurations, but this is a very nice control center. I do like this. It has the ability to add and remove software just by loading up Symantec here, or it's not Symantec. Duh, I mean, too much antivirus over my years. Synaptic Package Manager. Over here we can configure various things. It looks as though I did see somewhere in here, here's setting up scanners, which I believe you can do some of this stuff inside of the basic settings panel as well. So you can see all the various options that we have. Somewhere in here I saw a Samba installer. Yeah, so here it is. And so what I want to double check is if I can use Samba in advance without having to install it or not. I have no idea. Here's your display manager setup, auto login systems. So there are a lot of options there. Of course, your basic settings panel gives us our standard KDE panel. That if you watch my videos enough, I've walked through this enough. We have themers, Windows management, fonts, colors, application styles, other things. I cannot get the guest edition's working right away, so I'm locked at 1074 by 768 resolution. Let's go back and have another look at the menu. What else we have? We have the KDE Connect monitor and the KDE Connect settings. Docker, LibreOffice Manager, which is also under Office, I think. Yep, so again, there's another case of the redundancy. And it's just like, it feels like the menus could be condensed down. Now, understand that back in the Windows 95, Windows 98 XP era, I was the geek that went through and made my Windows nice, easy, concise, and simple. And it drove me crazy when I went to see somebody's computers. You guys ever go to see somebody's Windows computer and it looks like they've installed 100,000 different little applications, probably half of them riddled with viruses, which is why I was looking at their computer anyway. It's like, the computer's slow. And then you pull up the start menu and your entire screen was completely full of stuff. And then in Windows, is it Vista did it or 7 did it? I think Vista did it, where it blocked the whole everything into one little menu, and then you couldn't find anything. Because at that time, they even made it more difficult to manage the window. Now, of course, in Windows 10, you can't manage that thing at all. And that's user interface of Windows 10 is a stupid nightmare because I cannot configure that. That is not a start menu. That is an app screen window. Completely different thing. It's crap. And I kind of feel like, while I could go in here and edit the menu out, I feel like it is so cluttered because they took a bunch of stuff and just threw it in multiple different places. I would have preferred they just kind of condense it down. Get rid of a lot of the redundancy. The icon browser is a really cool application. This is the first time I've seen this. I'm sure it exists on other things as well, but this allows me to actually go in and look at different icons. This is huge if you've ever tried to custom edit your menus and you want custom icons on there. This is a really nice feature. I really like this icon browser. Let's see. So here's your LibreOffice base again. 5 linguist. This was neat here. So first, this Master PDF Editor 4 is an unregistered type program that you'll see up here at the top. Let's see, can you see up at the top? Yes, okay. Where it says not registered. So I'm like, well, what's that all about? So I went ahead, clicked over here. And of course, this is, it's free for non-commercial use. You can purchase it for commercial use. So it's a software editor there to manage PDFs. But I found that one a few different places as well. I think I actually saw it in 3 or 4 different places, at least 3. Now, I have no idea. There's Kate and there's Kwrite, and they're both just very simple Word editors, kind of like WordPad and Windows. And I'm not sure if one of them is more like WordPad and one of them is more like Notepad. But it seems to me, again, redundant that you'd have Kate and Kwrite and LibreOffice installed. And so I was just curious about that. Again, just pointing to the redundancy. Of course, editing out the menus as well. We have editors here and Office down here. And everything that is in editors is also in Office. So again, I'm not quite sure. I think it is. Maybe your... No, it looks like your Kate and your Kwrite are not. But those could easily be dropped into Office. File tools, we have our BleachBit, which is pre-installed, so that's nice. FileLight is for basically like a... was it a hard drive manager? You can see what's used and what's available there. And then let's see, Zulu Crypt and Zulu Mount is a disk encryption utility. Their games, we have one game pre-installed, K-Patience, various card games. Under graphics, I think this used to come with GIMP. This one here comes with Krita instead, which I'm actually going to have to spend some more time looking at this. This looks like a nice GIMP alternative, And I kind of want to dive in and look for more of these, because remember that Photoshop is one of those applications I still have not fully replaced from web design. When I'm getting to that point right now where if I need to write a document, I automatically spin around to one of my Linux computers and use LibreOffice. When it comes to editing a HTML file, I'm kind of split half and half. If I'm closer to Linux, I use Bluefish. If I'm closer to Windows, I use Dreamweaver. I like Dreamweaver slightly better, but Photoshop, I always want to turn around, go to the Windows computer, and use Photoshop. So I'm looking for more alternatives for Photoshop. So Krita is one of the ones that I'm going to have a look at. Of course, I'm getting better at GIMP. But this one does appear as though it's going to have a lot of the similar features. You know, we have a color wheel, we have a layer, images. I just kind of want to identify some simple tasks with Photoshop and then duplicate them in GIMP, duplicate them over here. I want to see which one of the applications is better to specialize learning in a little bit more. Although both are probably good, but I just don't want to spend the time learning in depth multiple. Like Photoshop, I can do anything on pretty quick. GIMP, I have to research a little bit. Basic picture imager, again, we have our draw. Here's another place where our PDF writer is. There it is. So there's your three places. Office, graphics, and editors. We have it at least. We have our simple scan, spectacle for screen sharing. Okay, so here we have Dropbox, that bane of all existence. I can't right-click and uninstall from here, so I'll have to look about uninstalling these. Is this Chocop? I don't know how to pronounce that guy, but blogging platform utilizes one of several different social media platforms. We do have Firefox installed on here. By default, here's your KDE Connect monitor. Again, it's also up here in configuration and internet. We have some remote desktop access tools. One of them allows us to remotely access desktop. The other one allows that access. Network Center, Pigeon, BitTorrent, and they use Thunderbird. I kind of expected to see Kmail on here in addition to Thunderbird, but they've taken off Kmail, and I'm not sure why there's that Kmail hate. It is over here, and I've actually found after you get to use it, I understand a little bit, it is a little bit harder of a mail system to use, but I really like it. In fact, I like the setup more than Thunderbird. In fact, somebody asked why I use Outlook over Thunderbird, and the reason is, as I explained in that post, that Outlook, at least the version I have in 2007, which I think they changed in 2010, when you boot up Thunderbird, and if you have a Mac and you're used to Mac Mail, Thunderbird, Canine Mail, just pretty much all of your modern mail applications are basically producing this system where I'm going to get a line item over here for every email address. And as I explained, I have like 15 email addresses that get checked. And when you have 15 different email addresses over here, it is a giant cluttered mess that you can't find anything, especially since 3 or 4 of those are related to the same business, and I need to make sure really quick I see them. Now, I believe there is a unified inbox option in Thunderbird, but I still can't get rid of all that other junk on the side. And I really need to get rid of that junk. So I actually use Evolution on most Linux distros where I'm using email or Kmail if I'm on KDE. I do use Thunderbird for things like I do have a couple throwaway emails on Hotmail and some emails that I have to use Google Mail for a few clients. And so with those, I put into Thunderbird. Everything else, I put into my own. So it's kind of the difference of, do you use your mail platform for checking your free mail services like Gmail or AOL or Yahoo or any of those other ones, or are you managing your own email on email servers? And I got a good 15 or so emails I manage on email servers, and Thunderbird is a mess to try and manage all that many emails with. Outlook, perfect. Evolution, perfect. Kmail, perfect after you get it set up. But I do like Thunderbird. I usually run both Thunderbird and another mail program so that I can check all the different emails that I need to. In fact, my Linux laptop is the only computer I have in my office that can check every email that I have. My Windows computer can't check the Hotmails, Gmails, things like that. This Linux computer has half of my main server emails, but it doesn't check anything else. So, you know, there's a lot that that you can say for it. But that's kind of my point there. So over here under Office, we have our calculator, character select, key pass. Here's all your LibreOffice stuff again, including your manager. And Nix Note, which looks like probably like a OneNote competitor. I've never used OneNote, so I'm not sure if that's the case or not. I'm sure it is, though. What I wanted to see is... I did not want to load that up. Good to see the icons up there anyway. What I wanted to see is this LibreOffice Manager, because I've never seen that before. So I don't remember seeing it. Okay, so I can install, reinstall, upgrade, or add LibreOffice, or I can completely remove it. Okay, good to know. All right, so under your Software Center, again, our VirtualBox Manager, our LibreOffice Manager, again, Localization Manager, I think this is the one, don't touch. You will have to start your computer, even if you cancel it. And your Synaptic Package Manager, again. So your Package Manager here, this is your only software manager on the system. And I think most people are used to this. It's nice and easy. If you already know the package you're looking for, you can just look for it. So here I'm just going to look to see. I saw in Sudo Reboot's video that OBS might actually be in here. Okay, so OBS Studio is in here. Yep. So I'm not completely sure which version this one is, and the reason is, if you look at OBS Studio's website, what you will find. I think the first one's not the correct one. Yeah, that's not right. So what you'll find here is Windows is 18.0.1, Mac 18.0.1, and Linux is 0.16.2, which is the version I'm recording this video on right now. It's 0.16.2. But if I look over here at Synaptic, I can see that it's 18.0.1. I have no idea which one that is. I'm going to have to hunt that down, look for it, install it somewhere on a natively running OS, and see what's the difference between that and the one I'm running, because I'm legitimately confused. And if anybody can clear that up, why is it that the Studio website tells me Linux version is 0.16.2, Apple and Windows are both 18.0.1, and my Synaptic Package Manager gives me 18.0.1. Please, somebody elucidate. I'm sure I could probably look that up, but and I'm not sure, maybe this is the older version. That's what Sudo said, is that the version that was in here is an older version. But I think he was using a completely different version of PCLinuxOS. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's the difference between I'm running an Ubuntu-based Linux Mint versus this is an RPM-based. So I just don't know. I have not spent any time looking that up. It's just a curious thing. I've noticed it in a few distros so far. The other thing is they did separate out sound and video, which I thought was a really cool concept until I saw that, like, everything in here is like, well, I guess the last two, it's the same exact stuff on the bottom two items. So I thought, again, you could probably condense this down and maybe get rid of some of this stuff. I'm not sure what Dead Beef is. It looks like it's just a basic player. Of course, we have VLC, and we have Cantata, and we have Dead Beef. We have Click Radio, which I'm guessing is more of a radio-type platform. It's not one I've used before. So, you know, you can see you have a lot of different redundancies throughout the menus. I thought it just could be a lot more cleaned up. All right, so now let's go ahead, open up our files, if I can, and let's see if I can access any Samba server at all. And this is actually something I could not do even on my other platform. Let's see, Samba shares. Even on my other KDE computer, I could not do this without manually entering the information. Okay, so here it looks like I can actually do it. Of course, once I click one of these, I'm going to need to enter the password. So I'll go ahead and do that for a second. Okay, so that did let me in. Let me grab a classical. Let's see, Four Seasons. I'm going to copy that over to the desktop. I'm going to see if I can get audio out of this. Of course, if I want to try and get audio, I need audio hooked up to this computer. Although I have not been drinking, I have failed the drunk roommate test. I cannot find the audio jack. There we go. Passed. All right. So now we've just added a video, or we've added an audio file there. Let's see. I don't think I have anything there. Nah. Nope. I'm just trying to see if I have if I had a legal video to show, but it looks like I do not necessarily, without grabbing one that's a few gigabytes anyway. So it looks like Samba shares work without having to install anything, so that's good to know. So that works. Keep some classical music going on the background there while we finish this guy up. So out of the box, everything seems to work. Again, 3 audio players in the system. A little goofy. All right, just having a quick look here, configuring the desktop. We can change our images here like this. Of course, I chose the animated background I have because of the rainbowy wallpaper there. Hopefully it's not too much. We have something here that kind of resembles a Galaxy's default wallpaper, so that's neat. There's not a lot of wallpapers here, but enough. There's enough here to be useful. Of course, KDE, we had the ability to get new wallpapers online. All right, so I ran updates on the system. No real problem there. We can access Samba shares. We can do multimedia out of the box. That's a real big bonus for something based on like the Red Hat Fedora type line. So overall, I think the system is it's a neat system. I find there's a lot of excess redundancy. I'm just not a huge fan of how they have it set up. Let's go ahead and try out all our alternatives. See if I can switch between different things well. Yep, so I can switch there. Okay, and then let's try the last one. Okay, so we are actually getting, getting the decent functionality. Of course, over here you have your options here. Add widgets. Go ahead and add a timer over there, see what we can add. There you go, there's a timer running. Alright, so there's just a real brief walkthrough here on everything. So it looks like codecs work out of the box. It does feel to me like a fully functional system. It is working quite nicely, and overall not bad. It might be a KDE distro that I try out a little bit more. I don't know, maybe I'll try out the Mate version of it as well. It does seem to have enough going for it that does make it worthwhile of a good distro to look into. And I just think, it's... I'm not a huge fan of the RPM package manager. I kind of prefer to stay in the Debian at the best or the Ubuntu, just because I'm most comfortable over there. But overall, very nice distro. Definitely worth keeping an eye on. And... hopefully this is something that you like. You like to see this. And let me know if I should tackle the Mate version as well. I'd be glad to look into that. So with all that being said, this has been Tom, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.